I remember an old sales manager of mine used to say, and this is no disrespect, any monkey can sell on price. I've got one fabricator in Sydney. He believes that his workers can produce or machine a lock faster than any of these machines.
On a copywriter?
No, by hand. I started in the window industry at 15 years old, so that was 1995. My father and my uncle had a glass company. In my family, we actually have 4 glass companies. At the time we had 4, I think we've got 6 or 7 now. So I started glazing school holidays with my father. My first experience with European windows was seeing these 6-meter high doors roll with a finger, and they'll double glaze or triple glaze, and the experience of being inside when the outside was snowing and not feeling a thing. So that was really my first experience, and it was my first time seeing a tilt and turn window.
You don't want to be spending money on windows again. You want them to outlast your time in the home.
And also while you're in the home,
you want to be comfortable.
You want to be comfortable, you want to perform.
At what stage in the company's journey do you see them reaching out for machines?
There's actually 2 sides to that coin. I've either got guys that are getting ahead of it. There's people very much like yourself that are getting ahead of it and saying, I know what's coming and I want to be prepared, because when the avalanche starts, when the industry starts to get busier, again, I know my only advantage is going to be time. Now, if I buy the machine at that time, I've got a 3 to 6 month period where I'm training and I'm learning. I'm opening up the car, so to speak, the engine. There's other people that are waiting for the last minute or waiting for the large project to come in and whatnot. But on that side of it, I always say to them, I go, that project's going to come in and you'll be halfway through it before you're really using the machine.
Welcome to the Build Better podcast. Today I am at the SCM Group, or Mecal, which is part of the SCM Group, and I'm here with Joseph Dimento. Joseph, welcome.
Hey Chris, how you going?
Good mate, good. So can you give it a little bit of background about yourself and being within the window industry and what you've done? Because obviously I know, but some of them out there might not know what you've, when you started, what you've done within our industry before you've come over to SCM Group.
Sure. I started in the window industry at 15 years old, so that was 1995. My father and my uncle had a glass company. In my family, we actually have 4 glass companies. At the time we had 4, I think we've got 6 or 7 now. So I started glazing school holidays with my father. And then when I finished high school, after a brief stint in real estate, which was not for me, I started working for my father, and we were fabricating shop fronts back then and doing a lot of residential work. We had the contract for a year for Burger King Hungry Jack's. So that was like, a very busy time. I remember our whole factory was white and red and yellow aluminium because it was fun. But that was when we were cutting glass every day. And so you really learn your skills, and did my apprenticeship then as well. And then I moved from there to glazing for G. James and installing slab to slab, sliding doors for their apartments and whatnot. And then I got picked up by a company called Highlight Aluminium, curtain wall. So I started installing curtain wall around Sydney and New South Wales. I eventually became a foreman for them, running their sites. And then after all that, I got to about 31, 32, and I thought, there's got to be more for me. And I left, and I was a project manager for a company that was doing slab to slab work again. And then I got into sales, and I started working in sales for a company called Hayfley, which is where you and I met.
And
I was selling
door hardware.
I was selling architectural products, so locks, hinges, door closers. Remember that? And I started selling the frameless glass door entries for shop fronts and whatnot, and residential at the time. Got into specification with them as well, and started specifying projects New South Wales and Australia wide. Most notably, probably the biggest one I specified was Barangaroo, all the ground floor shop fronts for all Hayfley project, which was great. And then after that, I was there for 7 or 8 years. I got picked up by a company called Centaur, and I was their global technical manager, which was a big role. I was involved in the final discussions on their newer screens. I developed the installation methods on them, and then went around the world and trained people on how to install the screens and their door systems correctly, which was a fun contract for 5 years. But after 5 years, it was done. I worked briefly for a European window company called Rainers, which was an eye-opening experience. You got to see how windows are installed and the efficiency of them, and how they can be all over the world. How they can be put into practice all over the world. So double glaze, triple glaze, energy efficient windows, which is where the market's moving here. And now I'm here at SCM, well, under Mecal. So Mecal is the world's largest CNC and machinery company out of Milan. And they've just come into Australia, purchased by the SCM Group about a year and a half ago. So my job is to promote the brand and push it through Australia with the experience that I have in so many different regions. And it's working. It's fun.
So, I mean, that's a lot of experience there. You've gone from being a glazier by trade, or getting your trade, glazing, installing, family business, to working for larger companies, project management, to hardware sales and architectural products, to now tooling.
Yep.
That's a huge difference and a huge step from one side to the other, but I guess it gives you a lot of experience to understand what fabricators need and want.
That's right.
Talk to us about the brand Mecal and the products that you guys produce and services that you guys have. To give us a bit of a backstory on how did the company start?
Mecal started in 1978 in a little town outside, about an hour outside of Milan. And up until a year and a half ago, the same owner that started it, in his garage, was still the owner. Actually, he still owns 48% of the company, and he still rides around the factory, because I was there last year, I met him. He still rides around the factory in his little scooter, and it's great. It's very much a family-owned business that's grown. So now Mecal have every range of aluminium and UPVC kind of machinery that all gets produced in Italy in their factory. The only thing that they don't produce themselves are their electrical boards. But what they did was they made it easier. They joined up with Mitsubishi and Schneider. So all of our electrical boards in our machines, if something were to ever happen, we can just go up the road. Yes. They've done that on purpose.
Yep.
The reason why they haven't been in Australia up until now is service.
Yep.
Purely that you need people to, one, set them up, and two, just in case. And if they're on the other side of the world, it's been the hamstring of other companies all over the world, not just in Australia, but we know in Australia as well, that they set up machines, and then if something were to go on, you're waiting 2-3 months for someone to come back over on a plane. So when the opportunity for SCM to purchase Mecal came in, I think it was a match made in heaven, because SCM is known for service.
Okay.
We have 5 techs on the road in every state across Australia, and it is a big offer to anyone buying a machine to have not only a strong, well-built machine, but the just-in-case factor. The phone call away. We have a 24-hour 1300 number that, again, if you're in the factory and there's something going wrong, you don't have to call the tech. You've got people upstairs that will answer the phone and get you through the reset or whatever it is, the small little things. And then if you do need a tech to come out, we have that as well. So again, it's really been part of the fabricators company as well, rather than just selling them a machine and walking away.
Yeah.
And that's part of what we do here.
So talk to us about the experience that you had seeing the European systems and how different they are to the Australian products.
Oh, wow.
As I see now, and what we have seen for the last couple of years, is the industry is heading towards a more energy efficient window and door product. At the same token, larger openings, high performance.
Yep.
Talk to us a little bit about some of the eye-opening things that you saw in that sort of European system market.
Well, I remember the first time I went over to BAU, which is the big trade show in Germany.
Yeah.
And I was there for Haefely, and that was in 2024.
Yeah.
My first experience with European windows was going to BAU and seeing these 6-meter high doors roll with a finger, and they'll double glaze or triple glaze. And the experience of being inside when the outside was snowing and not feeling a thing. So that was really my first experience. And it was my first time seeing a tilt and turn window.
Yeah.
Now, after that, coming to Australia, and I remember thinking back then, we'll never have that here in Australia. But then as things have changed in Australia and our climate is changing, we're getting hotter. We're not so much getting colder, but we are getting hotter. And people always, when you say to people, about windows being energy efficient, they automatically go, but we don't snow here. And we always think of cold, but we always forget about hot. And again, that's where these windows are really important in our climate and reducing emissions. So seeing one what the testing. So one of the biggest things that the eye opener I had was being involved in some of the testing over in Belgium and watching them test the difference between a double glazed window in a hollow frame compared to a double glazed window in a thermally broken frame. I've also seen the test differences between a thermally broken frame correctly installed and a thermally broken frame incorrectly installed. And that is almost as large as the difference between not having it and having it. Having a thermally broken frame not installed correctly, well, you're just going to get leakage through the outside. And that's why the importance of having them built here in Australia, measured correctly, installed correctly, is just as important as buying the window itself. Mm-hmm. And yes, it's obviously going to be a bit of a cost difference, but I'm sure if you're going to build a house, you want it done right.
Well, you want to do it the first time.
You want to do it the first time.
You don't want to be spending money on windows again. You want them to outlast your time in the home.
And then some. And also while you're in the home,
you want to be comfortable.
You want to be comfortable. You want to perform. And the amount of people there's people out there that are buying thermally broken frames on a builder's estimate site, and then they get to size, and then they get to site, and the sizes are 10 mil different. They're like, it's only 10 mil. But that's 10 mil of fill that they've got to put around the window, whether it's silicone that has no insulation, or it's architrave, or it's just a gap. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't work. Yeah. In Europe, they have strict installation methods, and which is coming here as well. So again, part of the Rainers product when I was there was watching is the installation method rather than just the fabrication method. It's just as important. So having these windows fabricated here and then installed here is just as is equally as important. Yeah.
So in your opinion, going on to the machine side of things for fabrication, right? When does it become a real priority for a fabricator to invest in machinery?
Look, in an ideal world, a fabricator should be using machinery they can use machinery in everything. Our only advantage in Australia will be, moving forward, will be time and quality. Time is in fabrication, time is in installation. If your competition is using a machine and getting everything right, because that's what they do, the error rate on a machine is 0.1%. Whereas everyone knows in the construction industry of the old 100 mil trick, of the old, I'm filing a lock style and I slip with the file. Like I've done it 100 times when I was fabricating, so I know. Yeah. But we all know a length of aluminium now is expensive. You stuff one up, that's a big cost, and it's time as well. So in an ideal world, a factory should be, quoting on the correct software that talks to a machine directly when they get to a machine in the morning. The guy will be on the saw that already knows the most efficient way to produce. So it'll produce the style that has to be machined first. It'll cut that. He'll put it into the CNC while that's machining. He's still cutting. So it's just more efficient.
When are you, so to go further on that one, at what stage are you seeing fabricators reach out to you guys, or you in particular, involved in the sales of these machines? At what stage in the company's journey do you see them reaching out for machines?
Look, there's actually two sides to that coin. I've either got guys that are getting ahead of it. There's people very much like yourself that are getting ahead of it and saying, I know what's coming and I want to be prepared, because when the avalanche starts, when the business starts, when the industry starts to get busier, again, I know my only advantage is going to be time. Now, if I buy the machine at that time, I've got a 3 to 6 month period where I'm training and I'm learning and I'm getting I'm opening up the car, so to speak, the engine. Mm-hmm. There's other people that are waiting for the last minute or waiting for the large project to come in and whatnot. But on that side of it, I always say to them, I go, that project's going to come in and you'll be halfway through it before you're really using the machine. A lot of people will buy a CNC for locks and they think that's all it's for, but they don't realize that once you buy a CNC, you can do pretty much everything with it. And you'll start learning more ways to use it every day. Every day you'll learn more. So the two sides of it is, I say to people, sure, wait for the project, but by the time that project comes in, you'll be halfway through it.
I think a lot of hesitation from a lot of fabricators are the initial cost.
There is an
Okay.
initial cost.
There is that large investment, and in regards to a CNC machine, you pick up one for as little as maybe 130 to 250, 350,000. Because there's a lot of components that come into it. So that always frightens people to make that investment.
Yep.
But in seeing that, and then seeing the guys that have actually taken the leap and gone, do you know what? Yes, the entry level is 130, but hey, at some point that's going to help me expand to a certain level that I'm going to have to invest in the 250.
Yep.
I'm just going to make that jump.
Yep. And there's some people as well that are looking at that as well, going, okay, I've got this project, but where am I going to be next year? Where am I going to be the year after? And what's the entry level machine going to do?
Yeah.
If I get the entry level and it's working well, where's it going to bring me next year? So again, they're forward thinking, and then they go into the second or the larger machines. When it comes to pricing, yes, entry level is one worker. The second one is 2 workers or 3 workers in one. And again, the more you use them, the more workers you're using.
But it's not just workers, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's skill level.
Well, that's it.
The older style of machines, and I was having a conversation with somebody previously where old copy routers and you got jig plates and you're following a lock and you're setting everything up. That skill set, that's actually a dying trade. There's so many people in our industry that have just never been able to be trained on that machine correctly, and it's hard to find the right people.
Yep. Well, we don't have a workforce in Australia.
That's right.
That years ago, when they encouraged people to bring their workforce overseas, ruined us.
Yeah.
And even now, very soon we'll have TAFE New South Wales doing training days here because they're trying to promote trades. I remember when I did my trade, there was 4 or 5 TAFEs doing glazing in New South Wales. Now there's 1. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to promote trades to come back because, again, it's a dying trade.
Yeah.
Teaching people on the most efficient ways to move forward and to build windows and doors is at the top of their list, so to speak, because it's something that needs to be done. You're going back to the old days with the plates. I still remember making jigs out of Perspex, and then you would put the router on top and you would lock it in with clamps, and to do one lock, that back then that was technology in 98. Show mate.
Yeah. It certainly was.
It's come a long way.
Sorry, your role is head of sales, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so as the role of head of sales at Mecal, what's your biggest objection you have from fabricators?
Wow. Apart from price. And
Look,
it's
price
funny,
is always going to be a
I know,
point.
and it's funny, that's why I don't really call it an objection, because I'm kind of...
That's the first stumbling block.
Look, you don't sell on price. I remember an old sales manager of mine used to say, and this is no disrespect, but any monkey can sell on price.
Yes.
If I've got the cheapest product, well, if I've got a product that is cheaper than yours and that's the only way that I can sell, well, it's cheaper, right? So, we're in a factory. But no, the biggest objection is, it's speed and do I need it? I get that.
Hang on. So, biggest objection you have from fabricators is speed?
Yeah, I
As
have.
in what, speed to pull the trigger, or
No.
how fast can the machine do the job?
Yeah, how far? I've got one fabricator in Sydney, which I won't mention his name, but you do know who he is, who believes he doesn't have this machine yet. He believes that his workers can produce or machine a lock faster than any of these machines.
On a copy router?
No, by hand.
Okay.
Yeah. And I said to him, I'll race you. And one day his boy, and I timed it, and I saw on a copy router, so I take it back. It was on a copy router.
Yeah.
So his boy put it on there, and he put it on a copy router, and it was about 6 minutes. Mm-hmm. Okay. He didn't measure anything. He kind of just threw the alley on. Who knows if it had a ding? He threw it on, clamped it up, and went, and then put the 2 holes in. Great. And so I said, I'm going to beat you now. I said, without even looking, I'm going to beat you. And he goes, okay, do it. So I've got a video of our entry-level machine, which is called the Ado. Mm-hmm. And I sat it on the machine on purpose, and I pressed play. And then I walked over to the drop saw.
Yes.
So
And then you started cutting
And then I started cutting.
the next piece.
And he goes, well, in that case, yes. Okay. And my video was still quicker than him. My video was about 5 minutes, and it was an unedited video, but it was 5 minutes.
Yes.
And it was measured correctly and whatnot, because so there was an advantage there. But at the same time, I was at the saw.
Yes.
You know, all of our machines have rotating beds, which means you can walk away. It'll machine all three sides. So it was a big advantage. And still, after all that, he was held back on the, oh, well, I don't know.
Do you find that that's because the old school mentality that some have is they're frightened about change in technology?
Yes, a lot of people, the one guy in their factory that is the lock guy,
Yes.
as we call him.
We all have that person in our factory.
We all do.
Yeah.
But a lot of the lock guys are the guys that have been in the industry for 30 years. They used to do it all by hand, and you know they're the one guy, and that's their way of running their factory and whatnot. And I at the top of my head, I can think of 10 factories that I've been to in the last month that all have that one guy that is too scared of change, and he's worried that that's going to take his job. And what I keep telling him is, this is not going to take your job; it's going to save your job. Because rather than you being there managing one thing and not seeing the 5 other things happening behind you, that one thing will now create 3 more things for you to do, but in a better way that you can oversee. And you know, they're all getting older, they're all getting slower and prone to sickness and health. If they're sick one day, no locks get done.
Yep.
Or no machining gets done, or no milling gets done.
Because nobody knows how to do it.
Because nobody knows how to do it. So there is some owners out there that I've been speaking to lately that are preempting that, going, oh, he's only got a year left.
Yeah.
So they're going, oh, I've got a year. I'm like, oh, you do?
So we talk about the objection that they have, or the hurdle that you need to get over. Though, let's now flip. You've overcome that objection. Person's bought the machine. What's your best response that you had?
How easy they were to learn. We had a guy in Sydney, actually, and he was one of those guys that was scared of technology, scared of moving forward, scared of learning. This guy's in Padstow. He was scared that it was going to take him a while, because, you know, I'm 46 now and he's more than 15 years older than me. He's like, how am I going to learn? I said, look, you know, part of when we set up a machine, one of our techs is there for a week and they train you. After a day, he came back to me and he goes, wow. He goes,
Not that hard.
He goes, wow. He goes, it's just moving the mouse around. I went, yep. So after a week, he was so confident that, you know, the machines were easy to use, but it was more how much he was, again, learning how much more the machines could do for him.
Yeah.
And how they could be all tailored to him. Part of one of the things that I do, and this is the fabricator in me. A lot of companies out there are using software that talks directly to the machines, like Logical, Fatero, as they're called now.
Yes.
Not Orgadata, but Logical, which talks directly to machines. But there's V6 as well by Syncly. And regardless of that, sometimes you could be on the floor and that one piece of aluminium drops.
Yep.
And rather than going right through the machines, what I've done is I've gone through, and I did this during the Christmas holidays. Most companies are using 1 or 2 of the major lock companies, Dormicaba, Allegion, whatever it is. So I went and drew up on our CAD software, which is part of the machine anyway. I drew up all these locks as modules in them. And, you know, if you're an Outspec customer, for example, I've got little USBs that I give our techs, and they load them into the machines with every lock and cutout and flush bolt. So for the just in case, it's a drag and drop. So if they're on the floor and they just quickly need to put something together, they can do that as well.
Yeah.
Again, ease of use. And our machines are that easy that if you're on the floor and you want to create a door that's got 3 locks in it, for example, you just go onto the machine, type in the length, and drag and drop the locks into the software and press play, and it goes.
Where do you see technology going in the window industry?
Where would I like it to go, or where's it?
No. You're currently in the role that you're in. You're dealing with high-end machinery, which is helping production. And just going back for 1 second in regards to when I said to you, what's the best thing that you've found or been told after they've bought a machine? I can tell you from our side of things, we've got an automated saw and it saves 1/3 of the time.
9 minutes.
Particularly the large projects.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you the ability to scale.
Yep.
So for anyone out there listening on the podcast, if you're looking at trying to scale your business, you certainly want to do your homework and get one of these machines, whether it be an automated saw or whether it be a CNC. It is the way of the future, and it's certainly the only way that you can scale your business.
Yeah, like in any business, time is money.
That's correct.
And being able to evaluate your time, it's going to take me an hour. It's like if I were to go to most of these fabricators that haven't got any sorter machine, they've got a drop saw and a drill, and that's, let's be honest, that's 70% of the market.
Because they're going to have punches.
And punches, of course, but that's 70% of the market at the moment.
That's right.
And if I were to say to them, how long does it take for you to do a $350,000 home or a 18 window home, that's an average home, 18 windows, something like that. How long does it take? And they'll say, it takes between this and that. It takes between a week and 3 weeks. Whereas if they really want to be efficient and know how much that's where these machines will come in, because they'll go in a year, it actually took me 4 weeks. But then with these machines, I can reduce it down to 2. And if I do this shift extra, I can reduce it down to 1.5.
Which means I can take on that extra 1 or 2 projects and still fit it in the same time.
100%. So that's where, and you ask me now, where do I see it?
Where do you see the technology going? Because we've come a long way.
We have. And in an ideal world, you've got 2 people in a factory. That's all you need. You got one person, like I said before, comes down in the morning, cuts, labels, puts it onto the CNC. Once they're all cut onto the CNC, the other guy's putting them together, putting the locks in them and putting them all together. They're out the door, ideally. So you got more people installing, less people in the factory doing little work.
Automation.
That's the next part.
Where are you guys heading with that?
Look, automation. So in the last month, it's funny, I've spoken to 3 companies. We have an automatic line, cutting and machining line, which is called the MC316. I actually sent you a brochure on it.
Which is actually why I'm asking this question, because they are good machines.
It's so, and for the people watching the podcast, the MC316 means you can put 10 different styles of 10 different types of styles on there at one time, and it will automatically process, cut, label, and spit it out the other side.
And what he means by process, also CNC.
Yeah, machine, cut, mill, it will do everything. And then when it comes out the other side of this machine, it's already labeled as well. So it's literally ready to go. So you got one guy that will be running that machine, and he's basically feeding and taking off. Where that's going, there's companies in Europe. So Mecal make all the machines in Europe for Schuko, for example, among other companies, and we just brand them. And now they're developing those MC316s into rooms where they're automatically picking. So they're dumping, in a room that's got different aluminium styles, you got automatic pickers putting them onto that machine. Those machines are running 24 hours a day with one guy just checking them. In any machine you buy, the secret is keeping them clean. So if you've got one guy that's pretty much just keeping them clean and then the machines are running, that's the future. That's, in an ideal world, that's the future.
As in fully automated lines.
Fully automated to the point that you've got an ERP that will tell you which trolley to put it on. There's some factories already around that are looking at better ERP systems that control their factories, not just the fabrication side, but the delivery side of it as well. It's, okay, so trolley 2 has to go further away, so let's put that over there because it's going to go on the truck on Tuesday rather than Monday. It's really nutting down as much time as you can, evaluate to see where your money's going. That's where it should be going, and that's where it will be going eventually, because money's tight.
Yeah, it is.
And if you're competing on time, if our only advantage, and look, we're all hoping that the tariffs come in, which we believe so in November, that our only advantage will be time and quality. Mm-hmm. That's it. And if we slip behind in the time, we'll have no advantage. So if we can get ahead in that, we'll make some money as well.
So what technology shifts do fabricators need to pay attention to right now?
Software is a big one. There's still people that are not using software. There's people that are still using pen and paper.
Yeah, see, for me, that I can't understand that.
Pen and paper.
I can't.
Look, if in any company, investing in your company is always the biggest thing. And software is the correct software. Is people look at software and go, it's too expensive. And again, that's another one that I say, well, there's two major software companies out there that we know of, which is V6, Logical. There's other ones out there like Window Maker, and there's some independent ones that are a lot less expensive, but they do a lot less work. But if you stick with the main ones, at the moment with our machines, the direct link is Logical.
Yes.
Because they talk directly. No other software needed. That takes a huge chunk out of time. Once people learn, and people go, oh, but Logical's a little bit harder to use. It isn't if you learn your product. So again, there's a bit of training there as well. But as soon as you learn how to, and this is where a lot of ex-fabricators are going into estimation, because with Logical, for example, if you know how to fabricate a window, you can use it, you can estimate it because you know what parts go into it.
That's right.
And it won't let you go to the next part. But yeah, so one big thing that I'm seeing is people skimping on software. You need software. And then from there, it's another thing that if I had to make a comment about people's factories, people set up their factories inefficiently, where they should be looking at, hey, where can I have a flow? I know your factory has a flow because you spent some time going, okay, where would this saw best, and having people less walking less to get to it and use it and then take it off, right? Again, people are buying our machines and go, I'll just place it there. And it's like, no, this should be the center of the hub. Yeah, and you should be able to walk to it less, in less time.
Well, if you're going back and forth in 20 steps,
Yep.
and you do that 5 times a day, that's 100. If you can change your steps to 10,
That's right.
you've cut half your time already.
Cut off your time. And especially if the CNC and the saw are your central hub. If you got one guy running it, especially the CNC, it's and it's being used, it should be revolved around that.
So we just touched on your technology, and the first step by all means is software. Software drives the whole engine of the automation process on all machines, whether it's cutting, whether it's CNC, and also estimation, right? Now, what machine should a company initially invest in? Should they go for a saw? Should they go for a CNC? What is your recommendation that they go for? Ideally,
every company should have a double miter saw. Upcut saws or just a drop saw are good.
But if we come to you, we have a standard saw, we can do our miters.
You can.
Do you feel that the CNC is the first upgrade a company should make, or do you feel that they should then, they've got a copy router, so they, you would tend to try to push the saw more?
No, I would. If someone's got a drop saw and it's working for them, and looking at some factory sizes in Sydney, if they've got a drop saw with a stop, especially with an electric stop, which a lot of them do, like a Tiger stop or whatnot, I would say I always sit with customers and say, what type of work do you do?
Yep.
If you're doing residential work where one job is different to the other, I always push them towards a 4-axis machine, purely because of the amount of tool changes you can have into it and the amount of different programs that you could set into it. If it's someone that does more of a facade type thing and they're doing more repetitive work, I'll push them towards the 3+1 axis that we have, which is a little bit less expensive, but it's a little bit more simple.
Talking about going to a CNC as a
so more into a CNC. If they've got a saw that's working, and it's got an electric type of stopping, yes, I would push them towards the CNC first. But ideally, most of the factories that I'm seeing have got a drop saw with a tape measure, and they've even got the board tape measure that's on it that's crinkly and has been beaten 15 times. But I'm trying to say to people, you can either buy a 4-axis, which is one price, or for the same price, buy a double miter saw in the 3+1 axis, which will do 90% of the job.
Yeah.
One of the major differences between our 3+1 and our 4 is the electronic clamping. Everything above our 4 has electronic clamping, but our 3+1, you got to manually change the clamps, which adds 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay. Which isn't a big thing, but if it's people that are moving into it and it's a cost thing as well, But I in an ideal world, I say to people that you should have a double miter saw and a CNC.
I think CNC really unlocks a different different ability to produce greater systems, because as you would be aware, Joe, a lot of companies are bringing out new systems first, and then they work on tooling last. And what tends to happen is they bring out these beautiful new systems that are great,
And no tools.
but they are locking themselves or pushing themselves into a market where that you can only produce this product with a CNC.
Yep.
We're gone are the days where you could do everything on a punch tool and a copy router.
But also a lot of these, like the bigger companies that, we're going back on thermal now, right? Most of the companies in Australia are preparing for NCC 29, knowing that thermal ranges will all be a standard in Australia. And a thermal window isn't a straight cut and not a straight machining either.
That's right.
So in preparation for that, they're like, well, do we design new tooling for them, new clamps, new punches and whatnot, or do we push? The Dali aluminium, for example, we've got a big Dali training day coming up here as well, and they're pushing people to go towards CNC because rather than having to design all these new punches, it'd be much more cost effective for the fabricator to go to CNC.
And time.
And time as well. Yeah.
So being in the... Sorry, man, I fucking bumped this one. Is that all right?
Can I drink water as well?
Yeah, of course you can. So I guess, Joe, because you've had such a fabricator background, it's given you the ability to understand the needs of the window companies and the tooling. How much of a benefit do you feel that that's been for you in the position you're at Mecal?
Well, being able to speak tradie, as I call it.
Yeah.
Being able to go into a fabric, and some fabricators have got, there's different levels of fabricator. There's some fabricators that the same guy that's up in the office is the same guy fabricating, the same guy installing. You got other companies where the guys upstairs are the bosses and estimators, and then they've got the guys on the floor. It's being able to communicate with all, and because I've sat, my line is I've sat in your chair. I've sat in all the chairs. So I've been the business owner when I was running my father's company. I've been on the floor, working for other people. I've been the installer. I've been the estimator. I've been the marketing manager. I've sat and I understand where investment sometimes is overlooked, and people say, "Well, I haven't got the money to invest, but I want my company to grow," and it kind of doesn't make sense. You want your company to grow, you need to invest in the company.
Yeah,
and so it's helped the trust value when I speak to fabricators and they understand that I come from that industry and I know the window industry, and it helps that when they ask me about time, and I can give them real life facts on how much quicker it is to use our machines or use any sort of machine, what the advantages are, it really starts to plant things in their head saying, oh, hold on, if I can save just on a double miter saw, they say it's 9 minutes a length. You're saving 9 minutes a length using just the saw. Forget the CNC. You're saving because of time of measurement and loading and moving and whatnot. Whereas that'll save you 9 minutes a length. It's like, oh, hold on, that's a lot.
Yeah,
9 minutes, wow. And you get less spillage. Spillage, for the people that don't know, is wastage because these machines are efficient. So they'll tell you, cut it this way. So that's great. So the softwares out there will tell you, cut it this way so you get less spillage. Great.
With Mecal, so I know that you guys are in Eastern Creek. What other states or cities are you guys in Australia?
We we are in every state, Australia-wide.
Yep.
Tasmania as well. We have service techs on the road in every state. We have showrooms in every state as well. But this is our hub here, which is our technology center, and you can see. You're here now, and I don't know if you'll get any shots of the whole floor, but this is the size of 3 football fields, and it's full of machines for both aluminium and the woodwork inside.
Yeah.
But we are in every state. We've got salesmen in every state as well. We've got a sales team in every state as well. I look after the entire country on the aluminium side.
Yes.
But then the furniture reps in every state assist as well. So if I need something done urgently, I need a meeting to go to. And also there's a lot of crossover. There's a lot of wood companies that are starting to go, well, hold on, there's some aluminium work that we can throw in here as well.
Yep.
Some big door companies. So it kind of ties over and I fly wherever I'm needed.
And how long does it take a machine from being built overseas to come here?
One of the good things about having everything built in-house at Mecal is that we have a stockpile of machines.
Yeah.
So when I was in Milan last year, I went to the warehouse where they're already building our new ones with the new colours, which is coming out now. And so to get them here is pretty much getting them on the water within 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then they're on the water.
How long does it take to actually build the machine and put it together? Because does it for those that don't know, do these machines come pre-made? Are they flat packed and you assemble them here?
No, these machines are pre-made in Italy. They're ready to go. They get tested in Italy as well. Now, if it's a stock standard machine, which 95% of them are, they're here within 2.5 months because we already have them built in Italy.
Yeah.
The only thing they've got to do before they put them on the boat is they turn them back on over there and test them.
Yep.
And if something's not wrong, they'll go to the next one. But realistically, we have them here really quick. Another thing with SCM in Australia, though, is we always carry stock. So at the moment, actually, I'm about to run out of my stock, which is these 3 machines that you see here. But in 3 weeks' time, I've got a new container coming in because I just happen to have sold these ones as well. So we try to keep stock here. Where it takes a little bit more time is if we do a custom machine. And a custom is, for example, there's a machine I was telling you about earlier that in Perth, they've asked for a 4-axis machine, which is the Cosmos behind us with an aggregated head, which basically turns it into a 5-axis. It's got a cutting blade in it. So to do that, the machine needs to be set up for that, and we do that in Italy.
Yep.
It can be done here, but it's better to be done in our factory and tested. So that's grabbing one out of stock, that's pre-made, probably add another 2 weeks. It's not a long process because the machines are done.
Yeah.
So it's one of the things. Mecal's been selling all over the world for years. It's probably the number 1 selling machine in America. Mecal USA is huge. They've been in New Zealand for a few years as well. So they're used to selling in foreign markets.
Yeah.
It's sort of a new thing for them. And so when the SCM ownership came in, they're already prepared on how to run it.
Yeah.
And how to make it work efficiently as well. We don't want people buying machines and then going, oh, okay, I'll see you in 6 months. It ain't going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a fear that sometimes people have as well. They'll buy a machine and say, oh, but if I buy it now, when am I going to get it? So I can have it here next week if you like. I've got one in stock.
See, that's the other question I was going to ask is what's the competitive advantage by buying a machine from Mecal in place of using somebody else?
Look, in Australia, I can only speak about the Australian market.
Yeah, that's all we're interested in.
The Australian market, the advantage that we have with Mecal as part of the SCM Group is service. We're the only company that have service techs in every state. The person that sets up the machine is in your state. You'll become mates with him. The guy in Melbourne, he's there. He lives there. He'll be the one that comes out every few months and checks. One of the things that I've really brought in is our after sales. So last week, for example, I was on the phone with people that have purchased our machines in the last year, just ringing them up saying, how you going? Seeing how our service techs, checking on our service techs. If they were happy and everyone was happy. So after sales is a big thing. One of the comments that I was hearing a lot when I started from people that had bought machines of other companies was, I bought the machine, I never heard anything after that. So I've really tried to hone in on that and going, okay, look, you've got other machines, but I just want to be that first call. I want to be the name you think of when you think of CNC.
Yep.
Having that as well, we have a massive service department and tools. So
Yes.
our just to your right is a big area that's full of tools that we stock here. Now, one of the things, again, that we did with Mecal when we first started here was say to them, okay, look, worldwide, in America, which is your biggest market, New Zealand, tell me what parts get replaced the most. And it was funny. They came back to us and it was very little. It was a couple of oil pumps and whatnot. So we said, okay, great, stock them. Stock the blades, stock the tooling, and we've got them all here. So the peace of mind is, and we've got them in Melbourne, we've got them in Perth as well. So the peace of mind for our fabricators is knowing that they're not waiting. I said earlier about the electrical boards, which is the most common thing that goes down on any machine is an electrical board because people burn them out. We don't have to wait for Italy.
Yep.
Our techs know that they can go to their local electrical supplier and buy a board, and it's the same board, and it's great, and it's peace of mind.
Yep.
And having boots on the ground in every state is a big thing. And then carrying the stock here, again, we've got stock here. In New South Wales, we carry all the stock for the big machines in Smeaton Grange. So they're buying a machine. A lot of people are like, okay, 3-6 months. I sold a machine and it was at his factory within a week.
Yeah.
Because
I think that's a big factor is that wait time, depending, what supply you use.
Yep.
Also the initial setup. I kind of feel like it's extremely important that the initial setup is done properly. What's the process when you deal with Mecal in regards to the initial setup? Are the fabricators being made aware of the power they need, the air they need,
So we have
the connectivity with software? Can you run through sort of, let's say I've just purchased a machine from you, Joey. How does that happen? Just for those that don't know.
As soon as a deposit's made, for example, we'll go from that point. A form is filled, is sent to the customer to fill out, and it's kind of a questionnaire that also tells you do you have this type of power? Do you have this air? And 90% of the factories already have it because they're using their single drop saws on them anyway, on the air and the power. But it also goes, okay, so you need, if it says no, it comes at there, it says you need this power, for the 3-phase power and whatever it is. Then the machine, and then we have a delivery date, whatever it is. Once the delivery date is in and the power's connected, our service techs are there, and then they're there for a week. And the first day they're setting up the machine, they're leveling it out, they're testing it again. And then after that, they're there for 4 days in training. Connectivity they will connect your software if it's a connectable software. So for example, if it's Logical, they'll go into the Logical software and connect it up. They'll put all the codes in that you need to connect it to connect it to the correct machine. And the tooling.
Yep.
Because when you buy a CNC, for example, the machine behind me, the Cosmos, has 10 tools that you can, but we have an option, I think it's 35 tools that you can buy. And you choose which tools you want. Now, there's the general tools, but then there's some people go, I want an 18 mil tap. People doing facades, which is not a standard. But okay, so we make sure that all the tooling's correct, which doesn't take long, but they do it. And then we start training them on how to use it, how to connect it to they'll run programs with them, and they're there for a whole week. So really 3 days, you've got an extra worker in the factory showing you how to use these machines, how to connect them and how to work them more efficiently. And then there's the error side of it. If something happens, if this error comes up, and it's usually an error because someone's got their hand. The most common error that we see is people start the machine for the first time and they're leaning on the barrier, and all of a sudden the light comes up and says, can't go. And they go, why is this red light coming on? And we ask what the error code is, and there's a book, but still. And if it's this certain error, it's just people leaning on the barrier and the doors that come up. Yeah, it's the most common one.
And they're very safety conscious machinery.
They are. I was in a factory the other day that had a machine that didn't have anything on it. It was a CNC. I won't tell you where it's from because there's 3 levels of CNC machines. There's the predominant companies like Mecal out of Europe. And then you've kind of got the mid-range, like the FOMs, for example. They're the mid-range. And then you've got the other ranges that come from another part of the world. And this other machine was the bottom range. And it was a CNC that kind of looked like our ADO, but had no protection. I was like, no barrier, no nothing. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. If you're going to invest in a machine, don't go for the cheapest one. Do your homework. It was
mind-boggling that, because there's a lot of inspections that happen. It was mind-boggling that the inspectors hadn't been to that that was one of the worst factories I've ever been to. Like, I don't understand how there was aluminium laying on the floor. I mean, just on the floor, not on bricks or on timber, on the floor. And this is finished aluminium, not protected. I'm stepping over it.
What type of investments are Mecal making in that technology space for their machines?
Look, as in moving forward or on the machines that we have now?
Well, either or, because I mean, you've got your machines that you have, right? But technology is moving fast.
Yeah.
We've got AI. We've got a lot of things happening in the world. Where is Mecal sitting?
I know that Mecal in Italy has got a big investment when it comes to AI, and there's so much happening in the world of AI, and talking to machines and being more efficient and where they can go. So I know there's a whole department on that in Italy working on that. The robotic side of it, which again is another, I know that they're working with a company that is a separate thing. So at a recent show in Italy, there was a robotic arm feeding one of our machines, but it wasn't a Mecal machine, the robotic arm. But the Shuko side of it, that was something that was new, and it's look, is it on their initial list? Probably not right now. Right now, they're more looking at where they can better the software.
Yeah.
Because again, everything's going to move forward. The Forterra or the Logical side of it, it's keeping up to date with where they're moving, because 90% of fabricators around the world use, I'm going to say Orgadata, but it's now Forterra, a Forterra product, your Logical product.
Yeah.
Like Rainer's, for example. Rainer Pro is Logical, just renamed.
Yeah.
So 90% of fabricators around the world use a software that is based around Logical or Logical product. That all talks to CNC. Now, V6 have got a CNC capability coming out, and again, that will shore up that side of it as well. But that's where the market's going. It's one, talking to the machines and then seeing the most efficient ways that they can go. So Mecal is looking at keeping up to date with that. Our machines themselves are already very user-friendly, but again, it'll be where their software can go on its own. Remember I was saying earlier, on the fly, it'll be how can we improve that in the future to make that fly even quicker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look, thanks everybody for tuning into the Build Better podcast. Joey, I really appreciate sitting down having a chat. It's been great to be able to get understanding about Mecal, about the machinery, and it's also refreshing to get some knowledge from yourself, seeing that you've gone from one side of being a glazier by trade, fabricator, systems, hardware, to now machinery, and the value that these type of machines add to a fabricator. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Chris. Always good having a chat with you.